Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Arthur C. Clarke. From the beginning of the history, humanity tends to ascribe unknown to supernatural. Thunder and lightning, weapons of Zeus. People getting lost in the woods, Leshy confused them. A sandstorm, the work of Seth. And nowadays, what previously was considered magic has become mundane through technological means. Crystal balls used for seeing faraway lands have become screens of TVs, computers, and phones. The flying carpet is just an airplane. And most of our technology is put in motion by the power of Zeus and Thor, electricity. But we don't know everything about the natural world. At least, not yet. And some people still insist that those gaps in our knowledge prove some sort of supernatural being or phenomenon. For example, our ability to choose, or as some people call it, free will, is often used as a justification for a belief in a soul. But is our will really free? As far as I can tell, it's not only unknown, it's unknowable at the time. We don't know if a person chooses, say for example, a banana over an orange freely, or whether he was determined by the weights of his genetics or his prior experiences to choose one over another. And if we were to repeat the experiment, it won't be a true repetition, since the experience of the previous choice is added to the pile. And a different person has an entirely different set of experiences. And we can't perfectly erase memories or go back in time to replicate the experiment perfectly. It might as well be that the biological machine that is our brain will remain indistinguishable from magic for a long time, maybe forever. But it doesn't mean there is any magic involved. The most common argument in favor of the free will is basically, but it feels free. It's a pretty bad argument, although it may be compelling to some. But our feelings are often wrong. People are suffering from breakups with those who they trusted the most regularly. Scammers are thriving because they can successfully manipulate feelings. We can even go to the example of early beliefs to argue that the people felt like the overwhelming power of nature could only be explained by some godlike entity. But now we can be sure that they were wrong. To add some more weight against this assertion, let's look at computers. They are perfectly deterministic machines, at least the ones that we can buy right now. But they can do what we colloquially call random generation, be it generating a random level in a game, going to a random article on Wikipedia, or choosing a winner in a giveaway. How can they do that without free will? Let's get acquainted with PRNGs, pseudo-random number generators. PRNGs are different algorithms that, by purely deterministic means, produce numbers with statistical properties very close to random ones. On the most basic level, a PRNG is some mathematical function that produces results different enough from the previous ones to fool people into thinking that they are random. And people are notoriously bad at determining randomness. Look at this video by Numberphile. But all PRNGs are similar in a way that they require some initial value, a seed. And if this seed is the same over 2 iterations, the output will be the same as well. A good PRNG shows a very weak link between changing the seed and changing the produced numbers. Even if the change in the seed is small, the generated sequence can be, and usually is, wildly different. If we look at a brain like at a very complex PRNG, where a seed is some sort of an aggregation of all previous experiences, we would not be able to distinguish the output of our brain from a random, or free, one. Partially because we can't even calculate the seed properly. We can also look at some modern computational techniques, like neural networks. They are specifically designed to function like a brain, although a very simple one. But it's still pretty challenging to understand how any given neural network decides whether, for example, a cat is present on a photo or not. And that's using thousands, maybe tens of thousands of neurons. And humans have around 86 billion. The biggest neural network that I found info about has 16 million neurons, not even 1,000th of what human brain has. Even if this number was surpassed in the recent years, it's still way behind our brains. and it is sometimes marvelous what neural networks like GPT-3 can produce. So, DH, if there is no free will, does that mean that we shouldn't punish criminals? After all, if there is no free will, they didn't choose to behave that way, and we don't punish natural disasters like earthquakes because of that. First of all, I believe we should focus on rehabilitation of criminals, not on punishing them. Punishment, in the loose sense of the word, is just one of the methods to regulate the behavior of people. Secondly, even if our brain is just a deterministic pseudo-random number generator, even the smallest change in its seed can drastically change the outcome. So, even a mere existence of the law, a mere possibility of punishment, might be enough to change the behavior of a human. And an example of punishment, the law working, will only sway more people. But I should ask in return, is something supernatural, like a soul, really necessary for the free will to exist? We can build true random number generators, based on the most random processes known to man currently, quantum mechanics. Here is an example of one of them. Does it have a soul? And we can quite easily propagate the result of this piece of hardware into the computer, and make some simple decisions based on true randomness there. Does this mean that the computer suddenly obtains the soul? What if we build a neural network using this device as a source of randomness? At which point does a soul appear? And if the computer won't obtain a soul, even if we build a true artificial intelligence like in some sci-fi movie, then what is the function of the soul? And how can we detect it? And if we can't know that it exists. So it can't be used to argue for anything. And if the computer won't obtain a soul even if we build a true artificial intelligence, like in some sci-fi movie, then what is the function of the soul? And how can we detect it? And if we can't know that it exists. So it can't be used to argue for anything. These are the basic reasons why I find any arguments with free will as the premise unconvincing. If you think that you have a better argument, or a solution to the problems that I presented, please let me know in the comments. If you liked my thoughts, please leave a like and subscribe to get more videos similar to this. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, and goodbye. See you next time